Este es Juárez Costas de los Estados Unidos. ¡Auto su barco ahora! ¡Auto su barco! ¡Auto su barco!
Drug cartels have perfected one of the most elusive and dangerous smuggling methods in the world: Narco Submarines. Hidden beneath the waves, these stealthy vessels carry tons of narcotics, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The US Coast Guard is engaged in a high-stakes battle to stop them, but how do you find a vessel that leaves barely a trace? And when you do, what happens next? In this video, we'll take you inside the daring operations of the US Coast Guard as they hunt down these subs, where every mission is a race against time, and every pursuit could turn deadly. Drug traffickers have always been innovative in finding ways to smuggle their illegal products, especially cocaine. In the 1980s, speedboats were the method of choice to move drugs from the Caribbean into Florida, with these special fast boats built to simply outrun law enforcement. However, with the Coast Guard's increasing ability to intercept these vessels, cartels began looking for alternative routes and more creative methods of transportation. By the late 1990s, cartels started experimenting with semi-submersible vessels, now known as Narco Submarines or Narco Subs. These vessels quickly became a key tool in the traffickers' arsenal. Early versions were rudimentary, often towed by other vessels and only able to carry small payloads. However, over the years they have continued to evolve into ever more sophisticated vessels, now powered by their own engines and capable of transporting tons of narcotics for thousands of miles. Narco subs aren't true submarines in the traditional sense. Most are low-profile or semi-submersible vessels designed to cruise just below the surface to avoid radar detection. They are often made from fiberglass and fitted with inboard diesel engines, all of which help to minimize radar visibility. In recent years, more sophisticated models have been found to include electric motors and advanced batteries for quieter operation, along with stronger metal hulls for even heavier payloads. In fact, some of these vessels are now so highly sophisticated that they can cost over $2 million to build. As a result, the most advanced narco subs can now operate fully submerged, cruising tens of meters beneath the surface without needing a snorkel, making them even harder to detect. The Coast Guard has responded with improved sonar systems such as hull-mounted and towed array sonar from larger ships to detect these stealthy vessels lurking beneath the waves. Despite technological advances, conditions inside narco subs remain extremely cramped. Most are manned by small crews who are considered expendable by the cartels, and some subs are even remotely operated to maximize payload capacity and reduce risks to human lives if the vessel is lost or intercepted. In one account, a Colombian fisherman was offered $3,000 to work aboard a narco sub that was carrying 7 tons of cocaine valued at nearly $200 million. The crew survived on dry noodles and bottled water in a vessel that was barely livable. If successful, the plan was for the sub to meet a transfer boat before being deliberately sunk, as the cargo far outweighed the value of the vessel itself, and it was not worth the risk of being captured after its job was done. With that said, finding a narco sub in the vast waters of the Pacific or Caribbean is like finding a needle in a haystack. These vessels operate far from traditional shipping lanes, often travelling for weeks at a time. Their small size and low profile make them difficult to spot using traditional radar or visual surveillance. To address these challenges, the Coast Guard employs a suite of advanced technologies for maritime surveillance. High-frequency radar, infrared sensors and acoustic sensors work in tandem to detect the signature of narco subs. Additionally, maritime patrol aircraft such as the HC-130 Hercules and drones like the MQ-9 cover extensive ocean areas, utilising radar and electro-optical sensors to identify even the slightest surface disturbances, such as the wake of a semi-submersible. The MQ-9 also excels in long-duration tracking of suspicious vessels, enabling continuous surveillance even under adverse conditions. For nighttime operations or in challenging environments like fog, forward-looking infrared cameras are crucial for detecting heat signatures from vessels attempting to evade detection. Additionally, the Coast Guard collaborates with the US Navy and international partners, leveraging advanced surveillance platforms like the P-3 Orion, equipped with long-range radar and sonar systems to further enhance their capabilities. Despite the availability of advanced technology, locating these elusive vessels remains a daunting challenge due to the vast and remote regions they traverse. To enhance their efforts, the Coast Guard relies on intelligence sharing partnerships with agencies like the DEA and international allies. This collaboration, combined with intelligence from human sources and signals, helps identify smuggling routes and narco sub-launch points, with satellite surveillance used to track suspicious vessel movements in high-risk areas. However, even when a narco sub is detected, intercepting it is a high-stakes operation. The Coast Guard must act quickly, often deploying fast boats and specialised boarding teams, such as the helicopter Interdiction Tactical Squadron, also known as HITRON. HITRON is equipped with the Eurocopter MH-65 Dolphin helicopter, which dramatically enhances the Coast Guard's force projection. They utilise precision tactics and, if necessary, deploy high-powered rifles like the Barrett M107 50 caliber and the Knight's M110 7.62 NATO to disable suspect vessels, compelling them to stop. Meanwhile, a boarding team from the cutter, which accompanies the chase in an over-the-horizon pursuit boat, is vectored to the scene by the HITRON crew. These specialised teams are trained to board moving vessels, an incredibly dangerous task that requires split-second decision-making, especially given that narco subcrews are often armed with machine guns. As seen in dramatic footage from real-life operations, Coast Guardsmen often have to leap onto the subs from their boats and pound on the hatch, demanding the crew surrender. These risks are further heightened by the fact that the subs are often rigged with scuttling mechanisms, allowing the crew to flood the vessel and sink it, taking the drugs, and anyone still on board, to the ocean floor. In June 2019, one of the most notable interdictions occurred when the Coast Guard cutter Munro intercepted a narco sub in the international waters of the Eastern Pacific.
Auto-Submarsible! 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 That's gonna be hard to get on! Auto-Submarsible!
When the chase was over, the crew was apprehended and over £17,000 of narcotics, primarily cocaine, were seized, with an estimated street value of $232 million. In another significant operation in August 2024, the Coast Guard, alongside the British Royal Navy, intercepted a narco sub in the Caribbean. This joint operation resulted in the seizure of over £1,200 of cocaine, with a street value of over $16 million, and the arrest of 3 smugglers. Despite these high-profile successes, traffickers continue to refine their methods and employ ever more sophisticated technologies to evade detection. To combat this, one of the latest tools in the Coast Guard's armoury is their ability to leverage advanced data analytics and machine learning to help predict where narco subs might surface next. By analysing patterns in vessel movements and radar signals, the Coast Guard can optimise their interdiction strategies, but the challenge remains immense. The fight against narco submarines demonstrates the Coast Guard's essential role in protecting US shores, but traffickers' advanced tactics mean that only a small percentage of these vessels are ever intercepted. In fact, it is estimated that authorities only capture about 10% of narco subs, leaving the true scope of their smuggling method largely unknown. With each successful operation, however, the flow of narcotics into the US is disrupted, underscoring the importance of the Coast Guard's mission. Yet the ongoing evolution of the narco sub-industry also highlights the need for broader efforts, including addressing the domestic demand for drugs. Without reducing the demand, the fight to intercept these elusive vessels will, for now, remain a non-stop battle. The US Coast Guard's tireless efforts, intelligence sharing and technological advancements remain crucial in the ongoing struggle, but combating the broader drug trade will require more than just interdictions at sea.